All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Utopia Neverland Final Tribal Council. We are so excited to be sitting here with our three finalists. We have Gaston, we have Angelica, and we have Polo. It's been a crazy season.
Yes.
To say the least. I think all three of these players will talk about the ups and downs that they, went throughout the 37 days this game lasted. So we are going to start with our opening speeches. As Gaston was the winner of the Final Four Immunity Challenge, he has dictated the order. So we are going to start with Gaston for opening speeches. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. First off, I want to thank everyone from production. All five of you have made such a phenomenal game for us. It's been such a blast. The amount of twists and powers has just been so chaotic, but such a great experience. And it's just, thank you so much. Thank you to all the cast. Y'all have been great to play with against. It's been such a fun experience. Now, my game started off in a really weird position on Staunton where I kind of took the lead on a lot of challenges, on a lot of other positions, and like stuff like challenges where people left the challenge messaging me saying, Gaston, you're the reason why this went so well. You're the reason why this challenge was so smooth. It felt so effortless. And I really took a more leader position when it came to the challenges and the Staunton tribe, which made me nervous because that's a very dangerous position to put yourself in very early on in the game. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I will look for the allies I want. And I found people like Grace. I found people like Tony and other many good friends that I found on Staunton that I was like, you know what, these are my people. I will go through this game with these people. Then when the swap came around, it really shook me a little bit because while I was in a majority, I was with people, Hannah and JD, that I did trust, but it wasn't my top people. It wasn't Grace or Tony or Polo, which were probably my top three at the moment on Staunton. And it really, once Hannah decided to be like, you know what, why not target Gaston? And I was like, oh no, this is starting. And then Aisha and Sean were like, oh, people were talking about how you won a recent game with 8 challenge wins. And I was like, oh, the Gaston reputation was already starting to follow me. And I was getting more and more nervous about how this game was going to shape up for me. And it really I turned the tides having a really solid ally in JD, where she was like, you know what, yo, Hannah's after you, what do we do? And I convinced her, like, you know what, we cannot have Hannah here. Let's take her out, trust Sean and Aisha. That was going to be my block moving forward. And when we got to the merge, a big blindside happened where I wasn't included in the new Staunton, which was also mostly old Staunton plus JD. So like all of old Staunton left me out of the vote. The original Hodder all had their own side. I'm like, let's target Angelica and do all of that and just do that whole thing. I was included last second, like the day of, and like, oh, I think it's Angelica's name. Yeah, I think so. But that had been going on for 2-3 days already. I was lagging behind, leaving the Sean blindside. I was like blindsided by all of my Staunton people. I was also left out of the main, like, who do we target first merge? I was just kind of an afterthought. So I took a step back and I realized this game it's gonna be very volatile because I had no secure final 2, final 3. Grace and Tony made their other better connections, and I was like in a spot where Sean was out, Aisha I could trust, and I had other allies I was slowly making, but I was leading into the rest of the merge with a very open mind and more of a reactionary kind of response where I knew that my best move wasn't to be like, okay, let's make this move to look 2 moves ahead. My move was like, okay, you know what? My name's been tossed around left, right, center, front, back, up, down. And I had to just be like, okay, what's going to save me this round? Who is in need of allies right now? And my options were always open. After the initial blindside of Sean leaving, I was looking to people like Polo and Tony and Grace. And like, okay, like what can I do to fix our relationship with being very real with people? I think that's really what made it seem, that's what made it come across more genuine was when people try to catch me in lies all game. Angelica searched my bag, try to catch me in a lie. She was like, I thought you lied about the Hannah Bank vote. And people try to catch me in lies all fucking game. And all I did was lie when I absolutely had to about blindsiding people because the other option was always me. I was always the other option. I was always the main target. People talk about how Kelly and Angelica were also big targets, and they were for like a hot second, but like their names weren't written down nearly as much as mine was during the merge. 9867, 9876 numbers, I know. They're all, like, my name was written down at all of them, and it really made me in a really weird position where I had to look up for myself round after round, and I needed to have an open mind and look for opportunities where people might have done a misstep in the game and take advantage and capitalize on those missteps. And I think that's a lot of what I did in this game. While I didn't plan all these moves myself, I think I capitalized so well on the missteps that it may as well have been my moves. And I know my time is coming up, so I'm very much looking forward to every single question y'all have for me, because I didn't get the chance to divulge my entire game here. Please, I'm looking forward to all your questions. I'm very excited to talk to all of y'all. Best of luck, Polo and Angelica, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
All right, next up, doing her final tribal opening statement, we have Angelica. Angelica, you're muted.
My time restart? Okay,
Your time will start.
Cannot wait to party with you after, but I got a lot to fit into 5 minutes, so let's fucking do it. In the early days of Hotter, I struggled to find my footing. Adam was easily my number one ally, and he was gone before I knew it. My positioning was bleak. Kelly, Adam, Benjamin, and I agreed to vote Devin in case Julia was saved by the twist, and I correctly sniffed out that I would have to abandon that plan. Turned out Benjamin already had. He had pre-voted for Devin, and I could have easily been left out and visibly been on the bottom had I not looked out for myself. That was just the beginning of having to trust my own intuition over the words of my allies. Had Julia not been a previous default vote, I do believe I was in trouble when we lost the Battle of the Lost Boys. I needed that swap if I had any chance at longevity. Along came New Stoughton, and Rachel and I were in the minority, but we met three people that I really, really liked, so I was fearfully optimistic. Fortunately, we never found ourselves at a tribal council, so I did remain safe, but no votes meant no chance to bond. So when we were all safe in the shadows round, I was feeling good, but I needed to show loyalty to New Stoughton with giving JD safety, and I did. Here we are at the merge. Very quickly that round, two things happened. Sean said Tony's name to me, and I told Tony. Kelly said my name to JD, and JD told me. I had to abandon my starting tribe and trust the proverbial other side in order to survive. The relationship I had built with Grace was key here. It provided me with an idol play that sent a message. If you take a shot at me, maybe don't miss, because at this point, my loyalties were clear. I was ready to ride or die for the people that protected me. I dyed the purple out of my hair. Hotter was dead to me, and I was ready for revenge. And then JD's retreat from the game was a blow. She had just taken a huge leap for me, and poof, that was over, and we were on our way into sink or swim with only a 5-4 majority. This is where Rachel targets Tony and doesn't tell me. She tells others. I do believe if I was clued into that plan, I could have seen the arrows aimed for her, and she may have survived longer. This is the only vote I did not have my hand in, and I was frustrated with my New Stoughton Alliance for losing our numbers advantage. At this point, glaringly obvious, I'm no one's number one. I'm a free agent. I checked Gaston's bag. I distrusted him for rounds. And for what? I have been blindsided by both tribes I felt attached to. He was the only person besides Polo that I didn't feel directly betrayed by. So this is where I took the leap of faith to align with Gaston. And when I was first presented with the blind side of Grace, I flinched. I had said I'd die for Grace in this game, but after she made a move to expose her allegiance to others and alienate me, I did what I had to do for myself once again, and I know what you're thinking. Angelica, didn't you sleep through Grace's vote? I sure did, my friends. I sure did. But if I had not done the work that round to convince the New School Alliance I was with them while also convincing Tony and Grace, I still had my target set on Gaston. That vote could have easily flipped onto me, who was already self-voting, or Grace's idol could have been played to idol out Gaston. None of that happened. I literally got my way in my sleep. And I woke up in a 5-person alliance. Splitting the vote was something I suggested before live night, so when neither Kelly nor Tony win immunity, it's a go. I was very aware that Tony was preferred here and that he would go if he did not have an idol. I never explained this to Polo because I knew that would flip him away from the vote. Tony leaving brought me to Polo's full loyalty, so I was fine with it. While I didn't write down Tony's name, I do believe I voted correctly because I voted in the best interest of a larger plan. Final 6 was my greatest hurdle and my greatest victory. New Stout was being massacred. I had to change it, but we're in a 2-4 minority. When Kelly, Gaston, and I form a final 3, I know I'm have protection. How do I keep Polo safe? Ben has immunity. Aisha's blindside is my best case scenario. I told Polo everything. Kelly and Gaston had said that round. He knew Ben and Aisha were orchestrating his blindside. He knew it could be a 4-2, and I told him to play dumb, throw his vote on Gaston, because Kelly and Gaston could not think that I want to save Polo here. They have to think they want it. I shine a light on an obvious pair while hiding in the shadows with Polo. Having his trust was what I was searching for since day one. 5-4-3 was heartbreaking and necessary. I do believe Kelly wanted to work with me to the end, but I had offered my loyalty before and she turned it down. Offer was expired. Benjamin and Kelly had a final 2. It was too late. Gaston and Polo had proved their loyalties to me, so those are the 2 people sitting with me here now. I was always going to be here. I made damn sure of it. Ask me all the questions you want. I can't believe I did that in 5 minutes.
All right. Awesome. Now our last and final 3 will be making his opening statement. So here is Polo.
What is up, y'all? I'm so excited that we're at the end of the game. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so looking forward to talking to you guys again. Super nervous, so forgive me if I fumble a little bit. But first of all, I also want to thank production. You guys put together an amazing game. I have had so much fun playing it, and I think it's yielded some stellar results. I also want to thank Angelica and Gaston. I want to thank the jury and the pre-jury for awesome gameplay and friendships that I legitimately think will last a lifetime. But time to get down to business. I am here to tell you why I think I deserve your vote to win this season of Utopia. If Angelica and Gaston started out in a shitty way, I am the power player of this game. I think I played a killer game, and I really want you guys to understand it. My story is a story of redemption. It all started when I played my last org. As you guys all know, I got voted out first. That was a huge hit to my ego, and it made me realize that I needed to make some much-needed changes to my game. There are some things that I'm good at. I'm good at orchestrating blindsides. I'm good at strategy. I'm good at making friends. I'm good at seeming easy to work with. And the thing that I'm lacking is the legitimate social connections that you need in a game like this. So in this game, I needed to make friends, not alliances. As soon as the game started, my goal was to reach out and figure out who I vibed with and who I wanted to play this game with. Immediately, I vibe with Tony, I vibe with JD, and I vibe with Grace. Me, Tony, and JD make a final 3 early. And I was actually committed to following through with that until the end. I love them so much, and it was kind of an easy decision, even if they ended up beating me at the end. But in order for me to get there, I needed to start out this game strong. I made a hierarchy in our tribe based around the alliance that I wanted to make it to the end. I included Grace and Gaston, I included Cooper and Hannah, and I left Oscar and Jackie on the outs. We only lost once that whole time, but I truthfully think that if we lost every single challenge, I would still be here. When we swapped, I lucked out again and kept 2 of my closest allies in Tony and Grace, and I also got to meet Rachel and Angelica. During my time in Newstaden, I made real bonds with Rachel and Angelica to the point where all 5 of us wanted to work with each other going forward. With JD on the other side coming through to merge, we had a 6-5 majority, and we could do whatever we wanted in this game. Having only attended one tribal pre-merge, I was itching to play some real Survivor. That is where the lying and scheming came in. So my Newstaden tribe and JD led the hypest vote of the entire season, the Sean blindside. With JD as I spied to the other side, we were able to find out exactly where their heads were at and come up with a mostly foolproof plan to getting an original Hodder out, which was great for my game. I was a focal point in this vote. I was playing out in front. I offered myself up as the decoy vote and encouraged them to vote for me if one of their votes got exposed by the hubby twist, which is a public vote. I had the public vote. I bid all 20 of my coins to secure it, and I was ready to use it to the fullest extent that it could be possible. The vote went off exactly as planned. Sean was blindsided. Kelly played an idol. I got my kind of like funny spiel telling Kelly to see how it would work out for her. And it's important to mention that during this time, even though I burned all of the people on the other side, I also emphasized that I was willing to work with them going forward so that I wasn't their first target when they came up with schemes to bounce back. But smooth sailing did not last long. 2 of my allies were booted out next. And JD going out in unforeseen circumstances, and Rachel getting blindsided by Tony and Grace. That put a wedge in my plans, and I knew that I had to switch my game up. I made the riskiest but most necessary move of the entire game, and I blindsided Grace. Grace was one of my best friends in this game and who I planned on going to the end with, at least to like Final Four. But not making a move against her would have allowed her and Kelly to take control of this game. I already knew that her and Kelly were friends outside of the game, but I didn't want to ruffle anything too early. I wanted to make sure that she was happy. And I didn't want to let her and Tony continue to play the perfect game that they were playing. It was hard for me to do, but I reached out with Aisha and Ben and Angelica and Gaston, and we made the move that we had to. Going from there, I was very vulnerable. Tony went out next, and he was my ride or die. I needed to lower my threat level as much as I could. So I pushed the narrative that I'm going to play honest. I'm going to let my game be wide open. And if I'm in your final 3 plans, then let me go. And I was not doing that. I was loyal to Angelica and Angelica only. I would have thrown anybody else under the bus. I knew about the Aisha blind side, but I played it up as if, oh my God, this is such a shock. Like, I can't believe you guys targeted me. But even then, I allowed Ben to think that I was with him, and we explored all of our options moving forward. I pushed the narrative that Kelly was the biggest threat in this game along with Gaston, and I had final 3s with both Angelica and Gaston and Angelica and Ben. The common denominator there is me. I was getting to the end no matter what. And even at Final 4, I told both Ben and Gaston that the other had to go if they lost, securing my place in the final 3. Ultimately, my disciplined gameplay got me all the way here. My gut told me when to zig and when to zag, and my perseverance kept me pushing when I was at my lowest of low points. Even though multiple people sat in the driver's seat of this game, I have had the most consistent agency and the biggest impact on the way it played out. I took what I've learned from my being first voted out and used it to become when I think is the sole survivor of Utopia Season 3. I'm looking forward to answering any questions you guys have and encourage you not to hold back. I really believe that the more you ask of me, the clearer it will be that I deserve to win this entire game. I think Gaston and Angelica have played great games and would be fantastic winners, and I'll respect any decision that you make. But let's do it. That being said, may the best player win, and I'm excited to see how this shapes out.
All right, awesome. Great job, guys. We now have our jury segment. Jury questioning, jury 10 minutes, whatever they want to do in that 10 minutes is up to them. So we are going to start off with our very first juror. Please welcome Sean.
Apologies, Skype was being very echoey. My AirPods died about 5 minutes ago. So it's been a bit of a rush trying to get myself set up here. Oh God. All right. Well, first off, it is good to see you guys. It's been a while. I was pretty lonely on Ponderosa for a hot sec, but we're all good now. Congrats to everyone for being here. No matter what is said tonight, I think I'm going to be one of the nicer jurors. You 3 made it to a point that the 8 of us didn't. So props to you guys for that. Y'all played kick-ass games. And I guess before I get to my question, Polo, I do have to say, Brendan did break up with you. I know this is probably how you didn't want to hear it. But I know you didn't want to hear it from me, but I felt like I'd just get that out of the way, get the sour spot, dead in the night before, shit starts hitting the fan. Anyway, I've missed a lot of this game. So what I want to hear from you guys tonight is something very simple for me, but might take you guys a minute to figure. And I know some of you did elaborate on this in your opening speeches, so totally fine. But I want to know your specific plan entering the merge and then how that changed over time to get you where you are today. And again, I know you guys elaborated on this in the beginning, but I want specifics. So whoever wants to go first, take the floor.
I'm happy to go first. Going into the merge, I had a very clear alliance with Newstaden, and I was very secure that JD was still with me from the final 3 that I had with her and Tony. So my plan was to make sure that Angelica and Rachel were with us and somehow wipe out the rest of everybody else remaining and potentially see if Gaston was with us too. JD was our spy, so we did get a lot of information about where you guys were headed, but maybe a little bit of false information that Gaston played a bigger part of it than he did. So the first vote was instrumental in that plan going forward, so we got you out, Sean. But it changed because my 2 allies from that alliance got booted next. And so it wasn't an appropriate move to me to ride that to Lien because I was in the same position as Tony and Grace, but they had one leg up on me because they blindsided Rachel without my knowledge. So if I go to the end with them two, I'm not going to get any votes. And so I switched up, got new allies, and then played the rest of the game how it played out.
I guess I'll go next. My entering the merge, I think my main loyalties were really to Morier. That's really where I was headed in that direction. And when I left Stoughton, I had a really good connection with both Grace and Tony. We had a 3-person chat that I thought was very solid. Not sure what their end game plans were, especially with having me swapped away for what felt like an eternity. I didn't know where they were and like, are they closer to Polo? Because we were good with Polo. We had a chat with Polo. So I was like, oh no. And I had previous experience in a game where that had happened. I swapped away from my allies and they made a better bond. I was left out and I was like, this is literally deja vu. Like this is happening all over again. And after the first blindside where I learned how early the plan for Angelica came about and just the blindside happened, I was like, none of the other 9 people really had me as their number one. And that really hit hard. And it really led me to like make this more like, okay, I'm playing in a more opportunistic way. I'm playing in a more reactionary way. And I play more round by round. And I didn't have a clear final 2 going at any point in the game. I really just played round by round. People wanted to make moves. Hey, I'm your guy. I was keeping the social bonds with every single person, and the lines of communication were open with every single person. And I was willing to be flexible with who to cut, who not to cut. And I had really the best alliance with Ben and Aisha really for a long time because we were on the same page for a very long time. And Kelly was in that boat until she drifted off to Grace's boat for a hot second. And then at that point I was like, Kelly playing the game wants me out. I get it. But even when it came down to 6, I was willing to take the risk and make the move against Aisha because Aisha and Ben, they were a lot closer than I was. And I could tell from the small hints, the small cues of talking to them when they don't talk to me about the end game. I know I'm not in their end plans, and bringing a duo to the end isn't going to get me to the end. And I was trying to set myself up where I didn't need the win, but I could win to get myself to 3. And I think that's really what I did well with. I didn't vote incorrectly from 10 to 3. I voted correctly after you left, Sean. I think that's kind of where my game led. So
I will say that my plans going into merge changed a lot once we got there. The last person I talked to on New Stoughton before we hit merge was Grace. And we talked a lot about the people we wanted to. I was with Grace. I was absolutely with Grace. So who else do we want to roll with? That's where the first women's alliance came up. I pushed. I wanted Kelly. I said, I don't care who else is there. I want Kelly there. I'm excited to reunite with Kelly now. That's why I felt the most betrayed by Kelly when I would my attempted murder. So I switched to rolling with New Stoughton, and then I get blindsided by then. So my game was about adaptability to come merge. And I will say, in the beginning of merge, I said multiple times, God damn it, I think I'm playing for jury here. How do I make the moves I need to get me to the end? And it wasn't until people started turning their backs on me and blindsiding me and discounting me, surprised I'm still in the game and touchy subjects, put a fire under my ass. I want to get there despite it all.
I almost lost where the mute button was for a second. All right. I think that's good enough for me. Again, congrats, guys. You made it here.
Keep it sassy.
Thanks,
Keep it sassy.
Keep it sassy.
I guess I'll change the lights when I get off. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, we are waiting for our next jury to join the stream. But as soon as she does, we will put her on with you guys, and her time will begin.
I can sing a song until then if you guys.
Oh
like.
no! Paula knew we were gonna sing.
Oh, don't worry, she's here. She's here. It's okay.
Don't worry, she's here.
Bless JD.
Okay.
I'm so excited to see JD.
Wait, can y'all see me?
Not yet.
Not yet, but no, wait, girl, it's a black screen. Oh,
Can you hear me?
We
Not
can hear you.
this.
We can't see you.
Oh, that was completely insane. Oh, this is so whack. Hold up. Damn. I want y'all to see my face when I talk.
I want to see your face too. Oh my god.
What is going on? Stop Cam and Mike. camera.
Oh
Did you
my
give your camera access to StreamYard?
I did. Hold up. I'm going to come back. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine, Jay.
I want
Oh,
to
I missed
see
her.
the dressed up
I
JD.
know, this is so exciting.
I know.
Totally, you want to sing?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes. Okay.
10 minutes will start now.
All right. So first and foremost, congratulations. I cannot say that I'm surprised. I think that each one of you deserve to be here. And yeah, I'm just going to lead with that. I enjoyed playing with you all. My first experience playing these games. Yeah, you guys are great. I want to start with a very simple question. And also, hold up. Polo, bitch. Polo, bitch. At least one of us made it, okay? So I'm so happy we're here.
Love
Gaston,
you.
I'm so happy you're here. Angelica, I'm also so happy you're here. But like the conversations that I have with Polo at a certain point, like I'm so proud of you. What is one move that y'all made in this game? Just one move that indicates that I should vote for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Clear, concise. Whoever wants to go.
I think my big move in the game, even though Angelica was vouching for wanting this to happen, I was the main person in the myself, Kelly, and Angelica chat and call before Tribal to push for or voting Polo or voting for Aisha. And I really pushed for the Aisha blindside to happen. One, to split Ben and Aisha up because they were never going to go after each other. They had chats with me, with Kelly, with Angelica. They were the pair. I was the meaty shield in front. And I was willing to cut that to make the path to the end, despite them having no disloyalty to me at all. Even through that vote, they both didn't vote me. But it also secured me from a potential power being played. That was the last round for powers. And if it was 5 Polo, 1 for me, or 4 Polo, 2 for me, if Polo had anything played on him, I was leaving. So I was like, you know what? Put 3 on Aisha, 2 on Polo, 1 on me. I'm safe no matter what, baby. And I pushed hard for that. And I know that Angelica did want this move to happen early on, but in that last call, I scared myself and I overthought myself into really pushing hard for it in the last hour. Despite for Kelly, it probably wasn't the best move for her game, but it happened anyways. So
it's unfortunate I didn't go first. I do believe that the final 6 vote was my best move in this game because while Ben and Aisha were the obvious pair we needed to break up, me and Polo were the pair that were going to get to 4 and never vote for each other there. The worst that could happen would be one of us going to fire. I needed Polo at 4. That was the person who was going to keep me safe. And that was the person who was going to get voted out up until an hour before. I played it slow. I played it steady. I played a double agent for probably the most securely in this game that I've ever played. And it was scary because if Polo got scared about that, he could have went to Kelly and Gaston and said, Angelica's told me everything. Why don't we take her out there? He could have tried to protect himself because he could have went. We were trusting 2 people we had never worked with. But I had his trust so much that I would make sure he was safe, that the best thing that could have happened for my game happened at that point, and I was untouchable after final 6. I was completely insulated. Everyone wanted to work with me. I didn't win immunities, but I didn't have to win immunities because I wasn't going anywhere.
I think my biggest move was the Sean blindside in the role that I played in it. I played very out in front for that vote. So JD, you are a spy to the other side and knowing what they thought. Kelly threw out Angelica's name, so we had that intel. It's my goal to talk to everybody who I haven't met before from OG Hotter and kind of create that bond, say, hey, let's work with each other. I go to Ben. I say, hey, Ben, why don't we run through the list and figure out who we're each willing to vote for, the common denominator, so we can have an opportunity to work together. I'm not going to vote JD or Tony. You're not going to vote Kelly or Aisha. So let's figure it out. We get to Rachel and Angelica. I'm like, Rachel seems to not be playing a good game, but Angelica's like actually playing out here. So I had the intel that he wanted that Angelica's a good option, and I fed that to him. The whole time, we're going to blindside Sean. I have the Cubby Twist. Tony has immunity. Grace has a finite idol that she accidentally revealed to everybody on a call. So we decide, hey, let's make Angelica the decoy vote. And and tell the other side, hey, we're going to do Angelica. What does Angelica think? Let's make me the decoy vote. So Angelica's going to vote me. I'm going to vote with them to vote Angelica. But in actuality, we're all voting Sean. Ultimately, I have the cubby twist, so I play the public vote to expose Kelly's vote. I tell Kelly in advance, hey, you can just vote for me. It's fine. She votes for me. I say, Kelly, we'll see how that works out for you. We vote out Sean. It's the most hype, like most Survivor-esque David versus Goliath move that I've ever been a part of in one of these orgs. And I think it set me up for the end game.
Okay. And this is my parting question, and your answers can be brief. Are you proud of the way that you played? Can you wholeheartedly say that you are proud, that you played with integrity and in the best interest of yourself and or people that had your loyalty?
I am definitely proud of the way that I played this game. Integrity is a question up to the individual. I think integrity in this game is a lot different than in real life. I lied to people consistently. That being said, I had the people that I was loyal to and that I planned to be loyal to, and I had integrity towards them. I am incredibly proud of the way I play this game, no matter how it shakes up.
I'm also very proud of the way I played this game. I think I was dealt cards in this game I never expected, and I always made it through. I was scrappy at certain times. I know I probably pissed some people off, but I did what I had to do for myself, despite it all, to spite it all, and sometimes specifically.
I am very proud with how I played because there are many points in the game where multiple people, more so Angelica than other people, but they tried to catch me in lies. She's like, I thought you were lying about the bank vote. I thought y'all were lying and you were trying to conceal that. She searched my bag, assuming she would catch me in a lie live on a call. And people try to catch me in lies. And even then, she's like, what if you gave all your powers knowing I'd use a spyglass on you? And I'm like, girl, can you not just believe that I played an honest game as much as I could in Survivor, even to the point where like I was trying my very best to I lied about votes where I was the other vote. I had no other choice. If I didn't lie to Grace, if I didn't lie to Rachel, if I didn't lie to Tony, all those people, I would have left. I was the counter vote. I did what I could, and I took every opportunity, every misstep. I capitalized on every single thing, people's worries, people's fears. Be like, oh, we can't let Tony and Grace get away. Let's hype that up. Let's amp it up. Let's turn that volume to 10. And I hyped everything up to make everyone's panic level be like, oh no, we have to take care of this right now. You can wait one more round. And that's all I needed to inch and inch and inch and inch to that immunity win to here.
Well, thank you all for your time. I think that each one of you has so much to be proud of. And it was an absolute pleasure to be able to play with all three of you in kind of a close way during my time. So shout out to y'all. Y'all are some badass bitches. Never change. Y'all are all iconic. And so I'm happy that I get to cast my vote for one of you tonight.
Love you, JD.
Love you, JD.
God.
Okay. Up next, our next juror that will be using some time to question you guys is Rachel. So we're just waiting for her to start the stream, and then we will. Oh, she's here. We're waiting for. Oh, there she is. All right, Rachel, your time will start now.
All right. Congratulations. All three of you have done an amazing job getting to the end. I'm very intimidated going after JD. Like, how can I go after such a queen? But Gaston, I will say, when I thought I was voting you out in my voting confessionals, I said, you're such an excellent player. I knew you were an excellent player. There was just no doubt in my mind. I knew that if they didn't vote you out, that you were going to make it to the end, and here you are. So, sucked being blindsided, but props to you for, again, like you said, inching your way. I think that was fabulous. Angelica, I think there is similarities between you and Gaston's game. I think you guys both came scratching toward the end, but I do think Gaston had to fight. he was in maybe a more vulnerable position more often than you were after those first couple votes. Can you articulate what differentiates your game from Gaston and what made your game better than his?
Yeah, I think there's two main factors. One comes in the first vote and one comes in the last. In the first vote, when I had that idol play, while it not be successful, it was dramatic. And it sent a message to everyone that when they tried to take a shot at me, it didn't fucking work. And I believe it was a bit of fear mongering to try again. Go ahead. And that's why I didn't get votes round after round after round as Gaston did. Because when they tried, it did not work. I wasn't, it move on. And then in that last vote before Final Four, Gaston goes if he doesn't win immunity. I have all the power there deciding who goes. I insulated myself. I had Benjamin, I had Polo, and I had Gaston. I had all three people who I worked closely with in this game. From Benjamin was the beginning, Gaston, or Polo was the middle for me, Gaston was the end, and here we all were. I was in a power position there at the Final Four where Gaston was in a position of having to win immunity. I didn't have to. I was going to sit here.
Polo, a lot of the jury has talked about just how you are so lovable and likable. And some have said that you are just lovable. People liked talking to you when you were great, but you just got lucky. Can you explain how your likability was used as a strategy in your game?
My likability is something that I was aware of going into it. I play a lot of minis. I've played some orgs before, and I've gotten some feedback which indicates the same thing. That being said, when I blindsided people can either decide to be burned by you, I'm going to get him out next, or they can feel like, okay, he blindsided them, but he prioritized me over them. I can still use this going forward. Likability is very important in the beginning stages of the game where anybody can be a target and you have to develop those relationships from nothing. But after that, likability is like a bad thing, because if you're too likable and you get to the end, you're a threat to win because everybody's going to be on your good side. So while likability helped me in the pre-merge section, I think my strategy is what got me here to the end. And I think that that takes precedent over my likability by far.
Absolutely. Okay, Angelica, I think it's no surprise that I was like ready to go with you to the end. I'm still haunted by the words when you said, Rachel, you cannot be thinking ahead. I don't know if you remember the convo. I was like, I don't know if we can stay this strong. I don't know if it's going to work. And you said, no, they're going to stay strong. But I still felt like I had to prep myself for a couple votes and trusted the two wrong people. So anyway, learning from you, the queen, never to open my big fat mouth again, which is ironic since I think you were one of the loudest players in the game, but you knew when to shut your mouth. All that said, I would like to hear, I think the biggest critique of your games from what I've heard is after I was gone, and it's the lack of your social game. So can you talk to me about or show the rest of the jury, because I feel like your social game's great, but then I was gone and I heard you left all the chats and I was like, she's so loyal, I love her, but apparently other people don't like that. So can you maybe speak to your social game after I left?
Yeah, I think I can't hide who I am, and if I try, I will fail. So what I need to do is get out in front of it and be myself to the max, which sometimes is for worse. That's not always for better, but I wear my heart on my sleeve, and that's never going to change. I was burned. I did not owe anybody anything. And to seem like I did, to seem like I was with anybody would have probably gotten me targeted. I needed to make sure that was so massive that they were going to aim at other people. So yeah, while I was emotional in this game, I was always strategic. I was building relationships while burning other ones. And even the ones I burned, I was able to rebuild. And I think that's impressive.
Yeah, and I think that goes since I think people view emotional as a weakness, but how can being an emotional player be a positive in your case?
Because everybody always knows where I stood. There was never a question. Who is Angelica with? What does Angelica want to do? Just ask me. I'll tell you. Like it was, there was never a question. If I'm having a bad day, you're going to know about it. If my finger hurts, you're going to know about it. I made sure that whatever narratives were going around me about me, I try to control. It's kind of like that old adage, like if people are going to laugh at you, laugh with them. So I made sure to get on that side of it. Y'all want to say whatever you want about me, I'll say it too.
Okay, and this is a question for all, and I'll let Gaston go first. So what was your biggest weakness in the game, and how did you have to maneuver that weakness?
So I think my biggest weakness was my social game, which sounds like a crazy thing to say because in every other game I've played, and I think having the experience really made me learn from my other games. And I was always way too social. I was the guy that everyone loved. Everyone loves Gaston, and sing the song. We're like, oh, Gaston this, Gaston that. And this game, it was similar where my name was out there, but it wasn't for the same reasons. Usually I'm the big social one. I'm the big threat entering merge. We get to 11. Bam, Gaston's in your face. Everyone loves him. We blindside him first. This time I dialed it back. I went half force. That really helped me. Where it did kind of trail along, and I feel like my social game maybe wasn't as strong as Angelica's or Polo's moving into the end game. It didn't hurt me as much as I expected because I was still in a very good position with every single person. No one, while they felt burned by me, everyone knew they couldn't feel that burned because they tried to take me out anyways. I was the one always in the forefront, and I was always the one to be willing to hear them out and work something out no matter what. I had the working relationship where I was social enough just to be able to reel them back in. The round after, they tried to take me out. And multiple people voted me out, then saved me the following round. So I was able to work through the social connections to just be open enough and social enough where it worked for me, but it wasn't to the point where like, I had people on jury like I absolutely adore Gaston. He's my vote no matter what. You know, like I was trying to build that middle ground.
No matter what. That's exactly. Sorry, because I would say like my first call with you went amazing, Gaston.
It was a fantastic call.
After that, there was just a noticeable shift where I was like, he is not being genuine. I like told Polo I could not stand talking to you because it was so cringy because I felt like it was like
it did.
Because I had seen the
yes
before and I had just noticed such a stark contrast.
And
was that just because you knew I was not in your game plan moving forward? Was it
because I think
talking to me?
I think at that point, like I did, like the first call was very genuine, real connection, sure. Very, very, very real. And you were the first person I really talked about, like my husband with, and all that whole experience. You legitimately were the first person I talked about that whole thing about. People seem to know, I don't care. But you were the first person I actually explained all that in details through, which I definitely, our relationship was very weird because I sensed that you were the only person I hadn't worked with, you and Angelica at that time. And while I knew what was brewing, I knew that you were going to target me and I was going to target you. So I was trying to keep the pleasantries going without seeming, because the last thing I wanted was to go to you, have a great talk and blindside you.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I didn't want to have that fake talk, and I was trying to avoid it as much as I could. And it comes across as like our relationship was kind of tumbling, just because it was, because the 9th was yours or mine. And that was the sole reason why. Had you not been a major target of mine, even if I was one of yours, I would have put a lot more effort in to build what could have been a working relationship moving forward. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Thanks. Does anyone else want to answer?
Sure. I think my biggest weakness that showed up in this game is my lack of like the outplay section of Survivor. The big part of this game was the map, and I, for the life of me, could not navigate that motherfucking map. And it was so frustrating, but I tried to mitigate it however possible. One of the first week, I noticed the word Eternal. I go to Gaston. He's like somebody who I assume already can like navigate this map himself. He probably already knew about it, was just humoring me. But I say, hey, have you seen this? Like, let's work through it together, hoping to, number one, foster trust with him. And number two, maybe if he does find an idol, it's better that I know where it is or where it isn't. Merge. I get the cubby twist. I get an idol clue. Be patient with me. I come up with the idea, hey, I don't want to share this with anybody else. I'm going to make a fake idol clue. I go to Rachel. I give her the fake idol clue. You know what Rachel says? We should make a fake idol clue to give to other people. And so I used what I... Yeah, you did. I didn't understand that it would be the same clue 3 times. I thought you would give me. I knew you and Grace would be the people who would get the next ones. I thought if I gave you a fake one, you'd give me the real one. Da 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 da. But
By yourself.
yeah, I did come up with that one myself.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. But ultimately, I tried to mitigate my weaknesses with my strengths, which is strategy and social connections. It didn't work. I didn't get any advantages throughout the game, but I tried my best.
My biggest weakness was my social game there in mid-game after Rachel left, of course. However, while I left chats and made the people I was mad at very obvious, the people I was actually mad at, and Tony and Grace, had no idea. That's how the blind sides were able to come. If I would have shown my cards to them, they would have known. I played it strategically. I may have been emotional, but it was always strategic.
I thought it was so funny because I said Grace and Tony would never target me because they'll go home next. Grace, I literally
Maybe don't vote Rachel out.
Because I was like, why would people get rid of a number, right? But they did, and look what happened. It was like a domino effect. Okay. Angelica, any other final words? Why you would deserve to beat these two?
I think I've had the biggest odds. I think I've had the biggest success story. I know I was the biggest villain, but I played the game that was laid out in front of me. My game would have been real different had I had a lot of loyalty there on Hodder. I didn't. I constantly thought I was out the door. So I played like it was my last day every day. And guess what? It's day 37. I'm still not out of this game.
All right. Good luck, you guys. I'm looking forward to listening to all of you, but especially Angelica. Sorry. Bye.
Okay, our next juror is here already. Very punctual. We love to see it. So next up is Grace.
Hey guys.
Hi, Grace.
Hey.
I just want to say, first of all, I am incredibly proud of all 3 of you for making it to this point. I love all of y'all. You're all great people, and I'm happy that we played this game together. But I do have some questions. And I have quite a few, but I'm just going to start with a question for all of y'all that everyone will get a chance to answer. So I think in this game, it's really important to be a good player, to have the right intent and to not just get lucky. So I want each of you to name a move that other people may have perceived as being lucky, or not necessarily a move, but just something you did that may have been perceived as just getting lucky, but instead was calculated.
I think.
And whoever can go first, I don't care.
I think me, you, and Tony swapping onto a tribe of majority is very lucky. You can easily get swap fucked in this game. I think that's what happened with like Cooper and like Jackie and like the members of Hodder that were on Murrier. But however, I think you have to preemptively put in work to make sure that whatever situation you're in, you'll be able to navigate. So I was in a majority alliance, or I saw a majority in our swap tribe, but so was Gaston, and so was Hannah, and so was JD. Hannah had that majority, and she dropped the ball. I had that majority, and I used the alliances that I made on original Stoughton to feel secure in going forward. So I feel like, yeah, it was lucky that I ended up in a majority, but it was skill that made us 5 be like the center alliance for the beginning of merge.
I think people think that it was lucky that I won the Final Four immunity, but really especially with how the last couple of votes went, I think taking out Kelly at 5 was instrumental in taking out the person who was more likely to beat me at 4. And making sure she was out of the way. While she had no wins, she had 4, 5, 6 second places. She, in a multi-part revisiting of old, arm strength, hello, cup holding it, girl, no. Kelly was going to win that. She was going to win the puzzle. She was going to win a lot of them, or at least get second and win the whole immunity. And I knew at that point, I was like, 1, Ben and Kelly need to be split. 2, Kelly could actually beat me. And I knew Ben would be a worthy adversary to still face a Final Four, but it was my best risk to take.
Can I jump in right there before Angelica and ask what would have happened if Gaston didn't win final immunity? Because I don't want to forget to ask that.
Who does win? Who does win? Ben?
Or one of you two.
Gaston goes.
Okay.
I agree, Gaston goes.
Yeah.
Okay, Angelica, go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
I think that people perceive, I mean, it'd be my fault because I told them that we overheard you on that call with the idol. So I do believe people perceive you giving me that idol was me getting lucky, that I overheard something. However, what I overheard was you saying you damn well were going to play it. And I don't think anybody knew the connection we made immediately on New Stoughton. That meant a lot to me. That meant probably the most to me in this game. So the fact that we were able to have this idol transfer between us that half the game didn't know about, that wasn't luck. That was something I had been working on for a while. It was coming to fruition, a connection with someone that I was nurturing.
I feel like it's difficult because, I mean, I like to think that I wouldn't have played that idol for anybody but Tony if I didn't accidentally reveal that on the call. But I don't know if that's necessarily true because at that point I thought the vote was for Tony. I didn't think that you were getting votes. So that's a valid answer. Thank you all for answering that. I'm going to start with Polo for individual questions. You mentioned earlier that you had a final three plan with Tony and JD. I just was curious about that. Why would you want to go then with Tony is what I would want to know.
Because of me getting voted out first in the prior game, me not having the best experience in these orgs, my goal was to strictly go by the people that I vibed with. And while I was open to that, both Tony and JD and you, to be honest, exceeded my expectations. It was like legit friendship, and it sounds corny, but it was like a little bit higher than I expected in these games. There's often times where I don't like people in these games, and I work with them because I have to, but I wanted to work with you guys. And so me, Tony, and JD just vibed to a point where it was just so natural that there was no way that I would want to play this game without them in the final three. Funny enough, first, like day two, JD, our first call, JD's like, we're good, right, Polo? Like, we're actually good. I'm like, yeah. She's like, I'm sus of Grace. Grace is like being shady on the Stripe call. She's not talking. I can tell that she's a gamer. And I'm like, okay, good shit. Like, I'll peep her too, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to talk to her later. I talk to you, and I'm like, this girl is cool as hell. Like, we vibed. We talked for like an hour and a half, and it was like a good conversation. So I was like, okay, you guys are going to have to work together one way or another because I'm not playing this game without you. So while I did have a final three with them, and I acknowledge that Tony probably would have beaten me,
that's more what I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about the fact that I wasn't in it. I was just wondering, like, why do you think it would be a good idea to go with Tony?
Because
because you didn't care, like, whether or not. I mean,
the answer to that question is because me and Tony had unadulterated honesty with each other as far as I'm concerned. I told him absolutely everything. From my knowledge, he didn't burn me. From my perspective, me and him were like a unit, and the same thing goes with JD. And so to have that unadulterated trust, it's risky in a game like this where you betray people, but I thought it was worth it because I thought it would carry me all the way.
I think I'm like almost out of time, so I need to move on. So wait, one more question for Polo. The idol clue was fake, right? The original one that you gave me, both of them were
Correct.
fake.
Yeah.
Okay, T. Angelica, wait, how can I know how much time I have? Can Prod tell me that or no? Or okay, I'm just gonna move on. Angelica, I want to know, a big thing for you was the perception of you as a chaotic player. I just want to know how you turn that to your advantage. And make it quick if possible because I have questions to ask Gaston.
I gave them what they wanted. They wanted to see chaos. I gave them chaos. Nobody was loyal to me. So I said, if that's who you're going to paint me to be, that's who I'm going to be. And it was ballsy. It was risky, but it got me here. I was able to rebound. I got pushed down a hill 10 times and I climbed back up dirty 10 times and said, I'm still fucking here.
Okay, T. Gaston, I just want to say that you have played a fucking incredible, masterful, genius game, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And I just had a specific question. A lot of that has to do with the fact that everyone knew that you were a gigantic target. You had the most org experience other than Devin, who got voted out. And everybody knew that, and you still made it to the end. So I just want to know how you specifically dealt with that target level of like being an experienced seasoned player. And how you managed to get to the end despite that.
I think the main thing that changed in my game, and what always catches me in all my other games, is being too social. It always gets me caught, and everyone's like, oh, Gaston's also played all these games. And I still have that similar problem in other games where I play too many games. People know I'm like, oh, you did so well in this game, and you were threatened this game, and that catches up to me. So this game, I'm like, you know what? I need to dial that down 50%. And I did. It worked well. And then it got me to the point where everyone was so much, like, so very social and making all these groups. Like Kelly and you and Tony were in like 10,000, 20,000 groups. And I kept my goal simple. Look out for myself. Look at opportunities. What do I have in front of me this round? And that was you and Tony at 9, willing, because, you know, Tony got scared about Rachel. Perfect. Let's make that happen now. Then once the second y'all went to tell Polo and Angelica, don't worry, we're voting guys on at 8. Don't worry. I knew about it soon after. Took advantage. I took advantage of all the opportunities thrown my way, knowing there was no way to get my target ever off of myself. There was no way. There was zero way. I was the target of the game. Kelly and Angelica were obviously still targets, but always diminished by my Gaston presence being somewhere around the merge, where I was always the forefront target. There was no looking back. There was no other way but to embrace it and be okay with being the counter vote, being okay, like, okay, Tony and Grace are going to think that I'm leaving. I can't change their minds. I'll go with it. I'll play along until the second treble hits. And then once it's done, oh, the ruse is up. I lied about what I had to, not what I wanted to. And I did the moves I needed to make sure I was still here after treble. And I feel like that's what I did. It was more round by round, not like, okay, well, if this happens here, this round. I couldn't make a masterful plan of like the entire way or plan the entire way. I had to play it round by round and I really made the target work for me because everyone knew I was going to be a target next round. So why not keep me this round? And I feel like that really worked out for me so well that I'm still here.
Okay, thank you. One last final thing. Polo and Angelica, you both said in your opening statements that you both believed that you were getting to the end no matter what. Why is it that you believe that? And what's the reasoning behind that? And what is the advantage to telling us that you believed you were getting to the end no matter what?
I guess I should clarify if I said that. I guess it's not accurate that I believed the whole time that I was getting to the end no matter what. I think it's more accurate to say that I set myself up in a way that I thought would maximize that chance. And so there were plenty of chances where people could have taken a shot at me. If Sean plays an idol instead of Kelly, I go because Angelica played an idol too. I was at risk multiple times throughout the game. I just think that I tried my best to set myself up where people weren't targeting me first, or the vote went my way in advance, or somebody who I was voting out didn't play an idol. I think it's less accurate to say that I knew I was making it to the end rather than I made myself go to the end.
Okay.
I think it's because I had no one to play for but myself. I was the only person I cared about being in the end. And after that final 6 vote, I had the power to get there. I was the axis. I was making the decisions in those last couple votes. Anyone could have went. I wasn't going to go. If we were going to get targeted, Polo was going to go first. I had as much protection as I possibly could. And while Polo played a perfect social game and Gaston played a perfect strategic game, I don't see where I'm being counted into that. And that's kind of the theme of this game. Angelica's discounted. How is Angelica still here? She's a fucking mess. And I knew what I was doing, even if nobody else saw it.
Thank you. You all had really good answers, and thank you for your time. I'm really excited to vote for one of y'all to win tonight, and congrats.
Thanks, Grace. You're halfway through jury. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so now we're just waiting for our next juror to join. Tony will have.
Oh, here he is.
He is here. Tony, you're muted.
I was now back. I didn't know I had to press a button.
All right, starts now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, sorry, I'm frazzled brained and a bit drunk, but I just want to say, first and foremost, before I get into anything I talk about, I am so dearly, incredibly proud of each and every one of you. I think you each played amazing individual games, and the fact that I got to play very intimately with each and every one of you and I get to vote for one of you to win means the world to me right now. So I'm first and foremost excited about that and excited to see you guys again. Sorry, again, I'm nervous, but you know what? I'll ask a question first and then I'll grandstand a bit. So this season, basically, this merge was dominated by, as much as everyone in the beginning, in the first round of merge, was like, oh, we don't want to stick by tribal lines. Everyone was blowing smoke up everyone's ass, basically, because every side was intending on doing that. But ultimately, the merge did shape up to be a bunch of rounds of voting blocks, and lines were always shifting. And one thing I have to notice, and I have to make note of, is the only person to have, all right, you know what, never mind. How did you take advantage of the voting block strategy in this merge, seeing as that it was a very adaptable merge? How did you take advantage of the ever-shifting loyalties?
I will go first. That was literally my entire game. Like, that's how I viewed the entire merge after Sean Blindside, and everyone, like you, Tony, Grace, and Polo, you all were like, you know what? No, like, let's figure something out. Let's figure out something where we're gonna work together. We're gonna make the moves. We're gonna be willing to make it work for us. And that just showed me, like, oh, I don't think this is very a clear-cut New Staunton wipeout. And I knew at that point I was keeping all of my options open. I was making sure my relationship with literally every single person was open enough to be able to work with them, to just, like, my options were always open, and I was listening and just feeling the ground for cracks. Is there a crack over here? Let me just sidestep to the side, be like, yes, okay, you know what? This is very valid. And I was so willing to just do what worked for me in each round. And that's why I think I was very successful, and people tried so hard to get me out, and people were so blinded by the fact that, you know what, I can trust these people next round too. But you can't. You had to make sure you made the moves for yourself that specific round, and I was willing, and some other people were willing to wait, and I took advantage of that, of those, Tony, you and Grace had a plan with Kelly to take me and Rachel out. Taking Rachel out first worked in my favor. And, whether Kelly pushed Grace to not flip at the last second or whatever the case was, it worked in my favor. And y'all were willing to make the move when it was too late. And I was very aware that, shift the game, shift the stands, change the line. And I took advantage of every single time of that case up until Final Four.
I believe that voting blocks were very important in my game, in a game where I did not find strong footing in an alliance. New Staunton everyone was not blindly loyal to me. They had other plans. Hotter clearly had other plans that didn't include me. Nobody was with me in this game. The two people that were are the two people that are sitting here. That's all I had. So I voted correctly. Tony, I don't believe your vote. I voted incorrectly because we had a vote split. Rachel's the only time I didn't know what was going on in this game. That was the only time. I also had my ear to the fucking ground, and I moved and shifted whenever I needed to keep myself safe. It was not easy. Anyone was willing to cut me at any time. So it was always staying 2 steps ahead. What's the best group to vote with now? How do I shift now?
I want to echo Angelica's sentiment, and the Rachel vote was the main one where I didn't know what was going on. But I think while voting blocks were a very integral part of this game, especially the end game, I tried to look at it and before that was established as make sure that in everybody's mind, Polo isn't the person who needs to go next. I had my alliance that I was sticking to. I had the people that I wasn't working with yet, but I tried to make it seem like, hey, at some point, some of us are going to be in the game still later. Let's not close this door, burn this bridge, and let's be able to work together later. That's when after I was blindsided with the Rachel vote, I was able to talk to Aisha and be like, hey, we still haven't cashed in that kind of get out of jail free card yet. Let's actually do this and make it happen. And so while there wasn't enough trust there to make it to the end, even though I might have tried to push there was enough trust to make a vote that was better for all of us.
Good answers. Okay. So at the time of the final 8, there was obviously a target on me and Grace's backs for being the only people to have at that point voted correctly for every single round of the merge. However, you guys let Gaston get to the final 4 while also voting correctly for every single round of the merge after the Sean vote, which is where I want to get into my little Utopia historian bag. Okay. touchy subjects is important in Utopia, and touchy subjects. Let me be this guy right now. But in the past in Utopia, touchy subjects has dictated how the winner wins the game. It has made them reevaluate how they're perceived and then flip on their game until they get to the end. And I think each of you had a really interesting touchy subjects round, but particularly you, Gaston, you got most likely to be blindsided. And then you made sure that you were the only person in this game who never was blindsided again. And that, I think, is a huge, huge attribute to your game, because you are someone that everyone wanted out. At so many points in this game, you were the target, and you still made sure that you were the person that every single person had to come to for their move to work. There was, despite everyone wanting you out, everyone had to trust you because you adapted and you flipped, and you were the only person, I think, in this merge who wasn't a part of a duo. And when I think that this merge was ultimately about getting out each and every person in a duo, until eventually Angelica and Polo also became a duo towards the end, I think you really didn't have that number one, and you kind of, I commend you for that, because I think that of the touchy subjects and just, you know, also historically in Utopia, the person that wins is the person that every single person says, there's no way we can let this person make it to the end. There's no way that we can let Felix make it to the end. There's no way that we can let Sam make it to the end. And there were so many times when you should not have been allowed to make it to the end. I should have gotten you out the round Rachel went home. That was a round too early. They perhaps should have gotten you out the round Grace went home. But at that point, Grace was also a good move for them as well. Like, there were just so many times when you just, I don't even want to say you got lucky, I think, because you, like you said, you capitalized on bad strategy from your peers. Like, we misplayed and you took advantage of that, and you sat back and you let people overplay and misplay, and then it let you get to the end. And I really think you played an absolutely excellent game. I think each and every one of you played an excellent game. So how much time do I have left?
Can I know? Tell you.
You have 2 minutes left.
Okay, very briefly. I think you all played excellent games, and I'm proud of you all. Very briefly, very quickly, roast someone else's game. Lighthearted, fun, but roast another finalist game.
Okay, everyone keeps saying that Gaston has played this incredible game that was so much better than mine, when I think it was very similar to mine, and I believe I had more agency. I believe that me choosing to work with Gaston got him here, because y'all told me that he's this comp beast, he's this social beast. I didn't see any of that. I made the choice to work with him because I needed allies here. He's here because of me, and I think I'm being discredited here because of this. I also voted correctly almost every time.
I will retort and say that you just said that you needed me here, so how is my game not valid where you needed me to be able to get to the end? You needed the extra ally. You needed my presence in this game. And I think that, as Tony just said, literally every single vote was everyone needing me here, using me as a vote to make a move, to make a big blindside. And I just think that you, Angelica, having played a great game where you voted correctly along like a whole other way, your big shtick was you're a big target through this whole merge. You were a target for one round, and I was a target. I was the big target after the first round. You didn't get mentioned. You went under the radar.
My turn to roast somebody. I think Gaston's game is the equivalent of like one of those like cardboard cutouts that you can like punch a hole through and there's nothing behind it. It's just hollow. I think a lot of people had Gaston's hype because he's played a lot of these orgs. He's a very good player. However, I think while everybody else was like, Gaston's somebody we have to get out, like he can't make it to the end. For me, Gaston was that person that I could put as an option that everybody would be happy with. When Gaston and Rachel won immunity, I wanted to use Gaston as a vote so I could say, hey, Aisha, Kelly, I want to work with you guys. Let's get out a common enemy. And so I don't mean to discredit the fact that Gaston did play a scrappy game. He played awesome. But from my perspective, Gaston wasn't the priority to get out. All the people that went home were. And so much respect to everybody, but that's how I see it.
Totally. Okay. Like,
Party.
This has been so positive, and I'm so proud of you guys. You will see I'm the villain of the season, so I had to let it jump out.
Oh, Tony.
But, I love you all. I can't wait to talk to you guys all. You guys are really friends that I think I've made, and I love you dearly, and I'm very proud of the games you've played, and all of you would deserve to win. So, bye, guys. How do I leave?
There's an X button, sweetie.
All right. Our next juror is Miss Aisha.
Hey guys, long time no see. I just want to congratulate you all on being here and being in the final three. That is something obviously not all of us jury have gotten to do at this point with this game. So I have a few questions. Some questions I have for all of you to answer, and also I have some questions regarding your individual games. So where should I start? Okay, I'm going to start with Polo. So I just want to congratulate you for getting this far, and I'm so happy to see you here. Your gameplay has definitely been interesting and a little bit confusing at times. So I'm hoping with this question you can kind of solidify your thought process and solidify maybe some of the things that the jury were not really positive if you had clear intentions. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started. My question starts with, your game has definitely been different than the two you're sitting next to. I want you to tell me in greater detail your main role within the Grace vote.
For the Grace vote, from my perspective, I knew that I didn't want Grace and Kelly to go far. In my perfect world, we get Kelly out without Grace knowing, because I knew that they were friends going into it. However, when Rachel was blindsided, I was thinking, hey, Tony and Grace, who I've been working with this whole game, are in a better position than I am. If we just let them have their way and get Gaston out next, that just makes me their GOAT to take to the end. And so when I talked to you, I did want to work with you at some point. We didn't work together up until that point. So from my perspective, me and you talked about each roping in one person from our alliances, making a voting block. We eventually got in Gaston, and we blindsided Grace. And it was good for my game because, number one, Grace, Kelly, and Tony don't have their duo anymore. I have a move up on Tony if he's still in the game. And I still think that Tony works with me going forward, and I finally get to able to work with the people who I haven't worked with yet.
Okay, good answer. I also wanted to interject with that, and I want to make sure you know that that move was my idea. But moving on to the next question. I want you to tell me about how your deception was calculated, because in many circumstances, the deception was backfired because people started to compare notes. So I want you to let me know how maybe like you're lying in some situations, why that was calculated and how that got you to where you are currently.
I think in the Sean vote was like the most like clear-cut deception. I have people that I don't want to know where my vote's lying. Let me make a proactive attempt to get their vote to go somewhere specific, Angelica, while our alliance can vote somebody, Sean, without the possibility of them playing an idol. So I lied to you guys, saying that I'm down to vote Angelica, using JD as like a spy, and knowing where your head's at. Of course you guys are going to compare notes. There were times where people were comparing notes on stuff that I didn't even value as like legit strategy. There was a time where Kelly told Angelica that you need to make a move against Polo now because next time he's going to throw you under the bus. And I was like, that's not true. I was just talking game with you, Kelly, to make sure that we were having a conversation. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. A little bit, because the first round, I do see that you were super deceptive with the Sean vote, but then like moving forward onto after I believe after the Tony vote, I know I obviously am a little bit biased because that was the vote that I went home and I was voted, but I just want you to take me through a little bit about like why it was in your best benefit to, I guess, deceive me going into the blind side.
I wanted Gaston to go that round, and I wanted me, you, Ben, and Angelica to be the final four. And I was pretty honest about that. I was pushing the narrative that I was supposed to be playing this honest game, and that's what I thought was best for my game. I thought I would be in the final three with Angelica and Ben, and that I could potentially win. Angelica did let me know that you guys are planning on blindsiding me. So at that point, I was being deceptive to Gaston, telling Gaston that I was down to vote Kelly. But otherwise, I was being honest for the most part. It's just that you guys blindsided me, or were trying to blindside me.
Okay. I'm going to move on to Angelica next. I want to start off by commending you for getting this far, although the odds weren't always in your favor. However cliche that sounds, they weren't. Sorry, I'm just putting up my notes. What is one move that you can fully stand behind that you thought of and executed no matter how the odds were going to be laying out?
Aisha, it's your vote. It's your vote. I that is the only option I had there, and I had no idea how it was going to work. That was my best case scenario, and I think that the reason why it worked out so well for me is because while I've been loud, while I've been kind of a mess in this game, I kept it close to the belt. I knew that if that information feeding back to Polo got out, it wasn't going to work. I knew that if I pushed too hard, it wasn't going to work. I needed them to think it was their idea. There was no way they were going to do it for me. They had to do it for themselves. But that was fully for me. I needed Polo to stay. That round was executed perfectly, and it was a secret we kept up until tonight. Even last night doing rites of passage, we never brought up that Polo knew you were going that round. We made sure to keep it as close to the chest as possible, and it was honestly it was what I was hoping to accomplish all game. I had such a slow build to that point.
That's awesome, because I don't know. I think that blindside was super cool, because I was honestly planning on hopefully making it to the end, and I feel like probably my gameplay, you guys probably noticed it, and I'm commending you guys for knocking it while you could. So I'm going to move on to Gaston. Thank you for answering that. And I'm going to say the same thing. I'm so happy to see you here, especially since we played the game very intimately together from pre-merge on. I'm still happy that I told you about the Hannah situation. I'm happy that you're here, because that whole round could have been different. We could have been voting you, and now you're at the final tribal council. So I am just gonna go into my questions. So I'm noticing your adaptability throughout this game. And I'm also noticing the sense of confidence that you're bringing to this final tribal council. And can you prove to me that the moves that you were a part of were intentional, and that they were less so of a luck based? I know you touched upon this earlier, but can you tell me more things that you might have not said prior?
The thing is, my game didn't revolve around me going around telling people, you know what, this is the next target, this is the next target, this is the next target. I would not be here if that were my game. My game consisted of being very ear to the ground. What is happening? What's the vibe? Who got blindsided? Who needs allies? Who needs help? And that was my game. And it wasn't luck that people needed allies. It was catering to the right people at the right time. It's all about timing. If I approached Polo and Angelica for a move at Final 9, they wouldn't turn on Rachel. They wouldn't turn on Grace. They wouldn't turn on Tony. It really had to be, okay, who am I spending my time on, and who am I really catering to at this point in time? And, when it came down to fix my relationship with Tony and Grace after they blindsided me with Sean leaving, it was okay, let's figure it out. Then the JD vote happened, so that kind of gave us a bigger buffer of time, and it managed to cultivate that relationship where they were willing to put trust in me, even if someone else convinced them to do it. They were willing to keep me around. And I think that's really what my whole game builds on, is building those relationships where they were workable game relationships. And that's really what, with Polo and Angelica. Polo told me a couple, an hour or two later that Grace and Tony were like, yeah, no, Kelly promised to vote Gaston out, and that just snowballed into what happened next. And that was 2 votes. And making your vote happened while Angelica, that was her diabolical plan. It wouldn't have been as easy without needing me or Kelly to want it. But for me, it was a security blanket to make myself safe at that vote. Make the 3-2-1. I was the one. I wasn't the 2. I wasn't the 3. I was the safest person while also splitting up a pair that was probably willing to drop me at 4 or 5. So I feel like my moves were all calculated, but they were very circumstantial, and I couldn't plan what was going to happen until I got there, and I was like, look, hey, here's the vibe this round. It was a round by round, assessing what was happening as quickly as I could and reacting very snappy to what was happening.
Okay, thank you for answering that. I have another question. How much time do I have left? Because I know I'm talking. I don't know if I should ask this question or ask the whole one. What?
You're muted.
We have a minute left.
Okay, I'll just ask the question for all of you guys. If you could, it's 2 questions. So if you could have one person voided from the jury so their vote would not count, who would it be and why? And then my second question is, if you could rely on your win with one of the jurors' vote, who would you rely on and why?
I would nullify Kelly's vote. I don't think there's any way she votes for me this round. If I could count on somebody's vote, I would go for JD's because I think she's going to vote for me to win.
If I can nullify anyone's, it would probably be JD's, unfortunately, because we were able to play together for 1 round. They both got to play with her a whole lot more. I think that we would have had a stronger connection had we had more time. We just didn't. If I could survive on 1 vote, it would be Rachel's.
If I could nullify a vote, it'd be Rachel's. I think, again, like Angelica said, I wasn't able to work with her for 2 rounds, didn't really work with her a whole lot. If I had to rely on 1 vote, I would rely more on Sean's. I think that we had the best connection versus Angelica and Polo's.
Okay, thank you guys so much for answering. I'm so happy
Those are good
to
questions.
see you guys here.
Thanks, Aisha.
I told you guys I would be bringing the heat.
Period.
And I'm so happy to be voting one of you guys to win. And I love you guys so much. Bye.
Thanks, Aisha. Those are really good questions.
It was a really good question. That last one, who?
All right, we have
Spice.
next juror. She is already here. So please welcome Kelly.
Hey guys. Okay, so you guys have really had a lot to say about me tonight. So before it's my turn to talk about you guys, I am going to be taking a shot.
Wait.
Want to join? Hell yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, we only got 10 minutes.
I'm not using a glass.
Mine is ready, sorry.
Okay.
It's here.
Ready, set, amazing.
Salud.
Okay. So
Sorry.
it is so amazing to see you all. I love you guys all so much, like literally so much. This is so amazing. But I do have a lot of things to say. So, I know the last time that you guys, if you see me looking down, I have a lot of stuff written down. That's what I'm looking at. Last time you guys saw me, I was really put together, really calm, really collected. And I promise that I'm not going to be like that tonight. I actually plan on being pretty nice to you guys. My question is not hard-hitting. But before I get into that, I just want to address you 3 and just say some things, not going to be asking, just stuff I want you guys to hear. So first off, all the talk about the final 6 Aisha vote, that vote sunk my game. Let me let it sink my game. I don't want you guys taking credit for that. A lot of that was me, and I think both Gaston and Angelica both know that. Second, Angelica and Polo, from I would say the final 9 on, everybody in the game wanted you 2 in the final 3 with them, so I don't think it's a complete accident that you guys ended up here. Okay, Polo first. I actually find it interesting that you said that I wasn't going to vote for you tonight because that is genuinely not what I have been expressing in the jury. However, I do think that tonight you have taken credit for a lot of moves that weren't yours. And everybody knew that you had the cubby twist at the Sean vote. That wasn't a surprise. Also, when you said that you would have rather taken Ben here than Gaston, I think that's interesting because from my point of view, you would have lost to Ben far more than I think that you would maybe lose to Gaston tonight. I'm not sure. And then Angelica, I was really, really excited for you tonight after your opening speech. I thought it was amazing. I thought you portrayed yourself so well. However, in a lot of your question answers tonight, I've noticed that you've been playing the victim and playing up how nobody ever wanted to work with you and stuff. And I don't think that's true. And I also don't think that that is the best way you could have sold yourself tonight. Let's see. I also think that, Angelica, you were never as big of a target as you thought you were. And your emphasis on how much you played into the dramatics, I also think isn't the best way to have sold yourself tonight, because I think you played a better game than relying on dramatics. And then the last thing I want to say to you, Angelica, is that I think my biggest issue with your game is that, at least in our relationship, you had a hard time differentiating between personal and game relationship stuff. And I think that might end up affecting some of your both lives tonight. Gaston, I think that I came into tonight thinking that it was going to come across like you got lucky a lot about some of the moves that you made or benefited from. And I think you have successfully turned that narrative around. So good job. However, I will say that you emphasized tonight that people thought you were really genuine, and I promise you that's not true. Nobody thought that. And then one thing I do have to say to your credit also is that everybody knows by now I played another game with Gaston. We both also got far together in that same game. And you played an entirely different game this game than you did in that one, and you still made it to the end both times. I think that is hugely to your credit. Okay, so my question for you guys is pretty lighthearted. So I want to know from the three of you, who was your closest ally in the game, how you guys became friends over just being allies, and one thing that happened between you or some fact about them that you think that nobody else would know, or just like a fun story you want to share. I really want to hear about the personal relationships you built. While you guys are thinking, I'm going to share some of my favorite memories with you guys, just because I think you all deserve that. So, Angelica, the first inside joke we had, you, me, and Ben, was the lick eyebrow thing, which is hilarious. And then also at the Final Five, when you and I were the only two stoners left in the game, and that we would send memes to each other about smoking weed. I have a bunch more. I have a bunch more saved up to send you after this. Polo, you and I had like the craziest conversations about like morality and ethics and stuff. But my absolute favorite memory with you, Polo, is the one time that we were on call with your roommate or friend or something, and he was really hitting on me, and afterwards he told me that I was pretty, and he said that I should have won most attractive player and touchy subjects to that. I like carry that with me every day. Like,
Victor.
And then Gaston, all of our conversations this merge about how we have ended up in the exact same situation twice within like 3 months, where you and I were both the biggest targets, all merge, and I made it a little bit further this time, but you still ended up beating me in the end because everybody's just so jealous of how fucking cool we are. So that was some of my favorite memories of you guys. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
I just want to start by saying that, like, I think you're right. I maybe I think I had no one to work with in this merge, but that was my perception. That's the way I felt through the game. That may not have been true, but that, God damn it, that's what it felt like when I kept getting blindsided by the people I was with. So y'all may see it different.
Happened to me too, though, so I do get it.
Y'all may see it differently, but that's how it felt. And when I played this game emotionally, I'm sitting in this final three emotionally, and I'll tell you right now, I'm getting a little discouraged by being discounted once again. By it's a tricky dichotomy to be too much and not enough at the same time. Like, I think I played the best fucking game I could, and I don't hear that right now. So it's hard. So maybe I'm not doing this right, but I'm doing it the best I can. As for your question, it's fucking Polo, which is crazy to me, Kelly. I've talked to you about this on Original Hotter. I knew who Polo was, and I didn't like him. We didn't have a great history. He did some shady shit to my friend. I was not going to work with this man. And then this was my shining light in this game was Polo. The one the ally I was looking for the whole time, he showed up, and he was like, that was incredible for me. I never expected it, but I risked everything for him and hoped he'd do it in return. And if he would have said he voted me there at 4, they all would have too. I needed somebody there to go to bat for me. I fucking knew I did. And I don't think I think that I felt like such a big target because I was the first target of the merge. I realized that did not continue. I realized that Gaston got votes every time, but I think I put in work to make that happen. His reputation may have been bigger. He's played probably 1,000 times more games than me. I'm fighting it after 1. I mean, it was an uphill battle.
I'll go next. Even before you said that, Angelica, I was gonna say you. It seems like maybe Tony wasn't as close to me as I thought. No big deal. I kind of play that game in other games that I play too, so it's all good. Me and Angelica was the moderator for for one of my games on Sequester. She also saw my first game where I dragged somebody at the Final Four. I'll do it again. I think it was a good move. I don't care what anybody says. But Angelica didn't. I didn't plan on working with Angelica in this game either. But once we got to the point where us two were kind of like, we were allies, and then by circumstance we were like associated allies, I realized that me and Angelica have way more in common than I thought. We shared some intimate details about like our lives and stuff, and I feel like Angelica has a hard shell, but she is so nice and caring and sensitive, and like if anything, we're antithesis of each other because I come off as like cuddly and nice, but I don't give a fuck about anybody. I'll cut anybody in this fucking game. But Angelica plays a loyal game, but she comes across as maybe like a little bit, like tough and like scrappy. And so I think that's really interesting that we like kind of complete each other's puzzle a little bit. So while I think JD and Tony and Grace are like very good friends of mine, Angelica is the friend that surprised me the most and the one that I'm most happy that I'm sitting next to you.
Well, for me, it was really interesting because I had a lot of good friends on Staunton and I had some good friends on Morier, and it was I was trying to assess where I was headed in this game because, Grace and Tony felt great about being swapped away. Obviously, you have time to make new relationships, and I think my best one, personally only game all aside, really came from Sean. I think really it came down to the point where like we were just, I don't know why, and this is very stereotypical, but I vibe well with the straight bros. I have a good time. We have we bond. We're the same people. Like Kelly, that's why we align so well, and we work. If you were my person, come merge. I knew you would want to cut me, but I knew you were still my person until that point was going to come. And I think that's what Sean and I really had a really good relationship where like we were able to talk about Pokemon, gaming, videos, just random shit. And like it wasn't even like we were on calls for so long periods of time where we're like, oh, we're on 3-hour calls having a great time, and that wasn't our relationship. But like I just felt like an instant like we're friends, like we're bros, like it just felt like that way. We planned to play some Pokemon together, which I still want to. Like this is very much happening post game, but like, and then him getting cut so soon just really demoralized my spirits about like my personal really good friend I'd made in this game, and I never felt like I really had another final 2 cents. And I think that goes back to what Tony said. Like I was kind of more of a free agent in a way, where I was willing to do whatever was needed. And I think that my pair, that wasn't really my pair, left the game so early. It was just demoralizing, but I moved on. So
awesome. I just have one more thing to say before I go. In response to something that you said, Angelica, about how you feel like you're being discounted again. And I just want to let you know that from my perception, that's not true. And I actually believe that you've done a better job claiming some of your moves on this game than some of the people that you are sitting next to tonight. So I would really love to see for the end you to just own it. Own your game. Don't play a victim, quote unquote. Own it. All 3 of you deserve to be here. You all played great games, and I cannot wait to be friends after this.
Thanks, Kelly. Oh, just gone.
Okay, and our last but not least final juror is here. Please give it up for him well, Ben.
Yes.
Is he muted for y'all too?
I think he's doing that on purpose.
It's probably on purpose.
We can't
You're
hear you.
muted. Not this.
Fuck. Okay, let me go again. We're gonna pretend that never happened. We're just gonna take it from the start. We're going again. Give me a second. Okay.
36 minutes and 19 seconds. That's what it took to lose to Gaston. Shout out to Benjamin.
Period. Everyone, I just first off, I'm embarrassed I was muted. Second off, it's great to see you all again. I know it's only been like 48 hours, but I'm so excited to see you guys. I am so weirdly drunk at like 2:30 in the afternoon. Like, I'm going off. I'm here to have some fun. First off, I want to say apologies for crying last time. I'm not going to cry this time, which is great because we're emotionally stable sometimes. And so I'm going to start this off by saying that I play, I'm really proud of the game I played. I'm really proud of a lot of the aspects of the game that you guys played, but I'm going to be quite brutal here, and everything that I say with love. I'm saying because I want a chance to be bitter because I've only had 48 hours to process everything that happened. So I mean everything with love, and I'm going to start with the person who I'm definitely not giving my vote to, and I'm being open and honest about it. Polo, I love you to death, but I just cannot give you my vote tonight because just the way that you've spoken about some aspects of your game and the claims that you've made, I don't think are very accurate, or at least they're not the perception that people have on the jury. I think in terms of your social game, we had some fucking amazing conversations, like one-on-one conversations, take out the game. It was great. Cannot wait to properly speak to you after this game is over because I'm talking about therapy again. Can't wait. But I just cannot give you my vote for that reason because I feel like Angelica and Gaston played just a little bit better game than you. In terms of Angelica and Gaston, I think you guys played really, really well. And when I tell you that my vote is up in the air right now, I mean my vote is up in the air between you two. So in your final speeches, you have to fucking fight to get my vote because I don't know who it's going to fall to. My first question that I want to get everyone to answer is obviously only one of you can win. Only one person can win the game here. That's how it works. So what will you do and what will you take away from this experience if you lose the final tribal council? I want to start alphabetically because that's how we've done everything here. So it means that Angelica, you'll be going first.
Do you mean what we'll be doing differently if we were to play a game again? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, basically what you've learned from this, how you'll handle losing, and how you'll learn from that.
That's really interesting because when I applied to play this game, it was in the middle of me thinking I was about to be voted out of another game and I want to do some things different. I fucked up. And you know what it was? Is that I was too reactive and I got super emotional when I didn't need to. But you know what, Ben? I thought I could do it again and I thought I could shut that off. But I can't. That's who I am. If I'm going to play these games, it's going to come out 10 out of 10 times. It's unavoidable for me. So I think that the best thing I did in this game was fucking own it. And I did that to the best of my ability. I took everything I was perceived to be and I just fucking was it because why not? And let's throw it all at the wall. If I were to do it again, I would be quieter in moments of defeat. Because I think in moments of defeat, in moments of losing challenges, of almost being voted out, I probably talk about it too much afterwards. And I know that. I know that. I need to shut the fuck up then. You know what? I don't need to remind y'all you were going to vote me out 7 rounds ago. I should probably just shut the fuck up. But again, I'll never make it to jury trying to pretend to not be Angelica. I won't. It'll be the grossest, most robotic, weird thing you'll ever see. So I think all I can do is learn how to perfect strategic gameplay while being true to who I am.
Awesome. Gaston?
If I lead this game losing, I think this game was really kind of the biggest test run for me. You know, for most games that I play, I do get the whole, oh, Gaston's good at challenges, Gaston's good at this. And there's always something out there about me, good or bad, neutral, positive, negative. Let's think about now, let's wait for later. And I think I dialed down my social game a tad too much. I think it was just under what I was aiming for, where I feel like I didn't get the strong enough bonds with people where I felt comfortable be like, I feel like super close with this person. I went through this game with more of a free agent style of gameplay when it reached the merge. And I think that really, while it got me here and, you know, with some challenge wins, some more strategic maneuvers, I feel like it would have helped to have that one person just to rely on and just fully commit. And I didn't find that one single person. And that's what I usually have, but I have a couple of them. And that trips me up and trips my game and people compare notes. Y'all know how it happens. So I feel like I dialed down the social just a little bit too much. So dialing it back up like to 60, 70% would be just enough for what I'm used to versus what happened here. And I think that really was my biggest fault in this game, if anything.
Awesome. All right, Polo, please take it away.
I'm going to try to be honest about how I'm feeling right now. I think that from the feedback that I've gotten from the jurors, it seems like the things that I interpret that I've done strategically aren't in line with what you guys think have happened. So I'd love to, after this, get some more specifics. But I feel like the only moves that I claimed were the Sean vote and the Grace vote. And I feel like those were done with people. You can't do votes without people. But I truthfully think that I did those for the sake of my game and for maximizing my chances of getting here. So if the Grace vote is what's kind of up in the air, I'll lay it out on the line. Aisha talked to me, and Aisha suggested let's each rope in somebody else and get Grace out. And to me, I still think that I deserve credit for that move because I don't know. It was best for my game for Grace to go because my plan was to use Rachel to blindside Kelly so that Grace would be more allegiant to me. That being said, I had to adapt my game to what happened. Rachel was gone. Grace and Kelly were two people whose names I was never going to throw out to each other. I wanted Grace gone because I wanted to save Tony because Tony was my ride or die. Whether or not he was playing me, it's yet to be seen. I would love for you to tell me which votes you think that I've been claiming that I didn't have a right to claim. But to answer your question, I think what I've learned is that maybe my map of the game needs to be, maybe I need to prioritize my map of the game less, figure out what other people are doing, and kind of like be more cognizant of their strategy and how it aligns with mine more.
Cool. To quickly readdress that, that's more or less what I wanted to hear, Polo. I wanted to hear not so much about you trying to claim the moves, but why you had to do the moves you had to do. That was my big thing. My big thing in this game is I want to vote for someone who is an all-round player. When I said that I wasn't voting Polo before, that wasn't 100% true. I was saying that because I wanted you, Polo, to really talk up the lead up into why you did things. And I'm glad you actually took onus of that. My big thing here is I want to vote for someone who played an all-round game. I want to vote for somebody who had great social game, great strategic game, and overall smashed it. My problem with that is that I don't think any of the three of you played a really all-round game. I think you all thrived in different elements of the game, which is wonderful. We love to see it. But there were aspects where you slipped. And so I think what I really, really want to hear from all of you is, I know you kind of talked about it and like what you've learned from this, but I want to hear then what aspect of your game you're most disappointed or like not proud in, because I think this is a great opportunity to take and learn. I'm going to take so much from this opportunity and apply it to future games once I decide to ever play them again. And so I want to hear how you guys are going to do that and how you're going to take your weaknesses from this and take them out. Like I said, I know you kind of explained it, so keep this short. We'll go reverse alphabetical. So, sorry, Paul.
That's okay. I can feel myself wavering a little bit. I don't
Paul,
care. I'm good. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. In games, typically people give me credit for being strategic and not for being social. And so I tried to be as social as I could be in this game and make it legit. I thought that I played a great strategic game. I think that I played a great all-around game. And I'm going to continue to be proud no matter what. That being said, sorry.
No, you're good. Honestly, you're good.
That being said, I think where I fell off is thinking that I'm too big for my britches, that my moves, even though they got me to the end, would appeal to everybody else. I thought that I played a decently flashy game in the beginning of Merge and a decent under-the-radar game at the tail end of the Merge. And I think what I could work on is picking my battles better, maybe thinking about how the jury is going to interpret things a bit more, and doing moves that I could say, hey, I did this. This was all me. Idling out somebody, convincing somebody to do something specific. That's what I'm going to work on next time. Sorry for crying, but I mean everything that I said.
Before Gaston jumps in, I just want to say the fact that you're crying means that you're really, really proud of the game that you played, and it means that you really were in it. It's why I cried 48 hours ago. It's honestly why I had a full fucking 45-minute meltdown. So I get it, and I understand what you're going through. I love you. Be proud of how you've played, okay? 100%. Gaston?
I think for me, it really boils down to I think everyone perceives and some perceptions of my game is Gaston needed everyone to go out and be willing to help him. I was just kind of the person that they used for all of the moves. And I think even having that perception, whether how 100% true or 100% false or however it falls on that scale, that is, I really need to just shift the perception ever so slightly without making it too obvious that Gaston's calling the shots, Gaston's doing everything. And I feel like this game, it was a little bit too much on the oh, well, Gaston's getting, the moves he's making, they're being, oh, well, if they hadn't flipped, he would be gone. If they didn't flip, he'd be gone. If they wouldn't flip, he'd be gone. And it's very much that perception. And I think really I needed a move this is Gaston's move. This is no doubt about it. This is my move. And even though it makes me more of a target, I think that would have been a big selling point, a big punch to the jury. I did this, my own move. No one else can even claim it by any means, and this is why. Idling out someone would have been a move. My idol was a little bit wasted. But, I mean, those kinds of moves would have been, had people try to blindside me at 7, that would have been that killer move. Oh, Gaston idled himself at 7 correctly. And I might have ruined that, but don't pull that I had an idol. I don't know if that really had much effect to any of that, but it really I think mine was more of a consistent burn, and I needed more of punches throughout my game that I did not have.
Yeah, cool. All right, Angelica, take us away.
Jury management. And here's where I think I consistently get better, but I'm climbing because I come from a world of playing. I only played minis up until my last game, which was a long game. So in real life, I am socially aggressive. And you know what? As my friend, I may lash out in a way that does not equal the thing that I'm lashing out about, but I am going to give you the weirdest 200% that you always know where I stand. And I have great relationships. I have deep, wonderful relationships. And in minis, it goes so fast. That works for me. But when I'm playing a game that's part of my everyday life and I let my mood dictate my gameplay, y'all are gonna sit on the jury what the fuck was that bitch doing? I get it. It looks insane, but it's authentic. I think I need to refine it.
That's very, very fair. My final words to all of you is that I love you all immensely, and I'm so proud regardless of however this goes. I said that to you guys when I was eliminated. I'll say it again. I love you all so much, and I cannot wait to probably speak to you all at reunion. And I can't wait to, at one point, whenever I convince you guys to come to Australia, or I guess I'll go to America or Canada, to see you guys and hang out and just get drunk and have a fucking lit time. I cannot wait. Good luck with final speeches. You guys are going to smash it, and I will see you guys afterwards.
Thanks, Ben.
I love you both, too.
I love y'all too.
Love you guys too.
All right.
No hate on your friends.
That's the end of the jury questioning portion. We are now moving on to our closing speeches. So right after this, the jurors will be sent off to cast their vote. So we're going to go in reverse order of what the opening speeches were, meaning Polo, you're up.
Hello, that's me. Not me. Okay.
All right, let's do this. Sorry for crying. That's not my MO. I think that I've gotten a lot of good feedback from this jury. I think that when you're playing a game, you highlight what you're doing, and it's at the forefront of your mind. You're doing confessionals. You're kind of getting validated by how the votes go. I've heard that people aren't satisfied with the way I phrase things. I think that I got caught up in trying to do a final tribal council, how I interpret it to be on Survivor. Owning your moves, picking it up, being confident. That being said, I went into this so insecure thinking that I was going to be a 0-vote finalist, and then kind of hyping myself up saying, no, I'm proud of the game I played. I think I played in a way that worked for me. It got me all the way to the end. For those of you on the jury who's saying, I don't think I can vote for Polo here, I respect it completely. I think I played a winning game because I was in everybody's plan to get to the end. And I don't think it was as a GOAT. The people that I was allied with, we were talking strategy. We bounced off things back and forth. It was a very communal effort. And then at the same time, I did things that furthered my game. I truthfully think that I played a game akin to somebody that you would be happy to watch on TV. I think I was receptive where I needed to be. I think I was loyal where I needed to be. I think I made relationships that I'm going to keep for the rest of my life. And I truthfully think I deserve to win. That being said, if I don't win and one of these two wins, I'm completely happy with that. But I think I did play an all-around game of social, strategic, and like whatever you call the outplayed person. I wanted immunity. I did well in the other ones. I used my brain for all that it's been through, for all the trauma that it's been through. I used it so properly, and I think I did it well enough to get me to the end. That being said, I love everybody that has talked to this jury segment. I've loved everybody in the pre-jury. Thank you, production. And vote for me to win because I deserve it. Thank you.
All right. Next up, Angelica.
Ben said he's going to vote for the person who played the best overall game. I think that's me. From taking an idle clue round 1 to cashing in a coupon at the final 4, my narrative dictated the entire narrative of Utopia Neverland. I came into this game with a shadow of my own, of my previous games, connections, my obnoxious at times personality. Under the radar was not going to be in the cards for me. If people were going to have quickly formed opinions, I was going to make sure I was most unabashedly myself as I possibly could be. I never held back. Whether that be drinking until dawn with Hotter on the night 1 call or staying up for 2 nights manically during the scavenger hunt or leaving my prod chat with Ben because I didn't like a gif he sent. I didn't do anything behind closed doors. If my narrative was going to be quickly assumed, I was going to make sure y'all had no question who I was. For better or worse, I kept very little about my game a secret, except for when secrets were absolutely crucial. I was labeled chaotic, too much, a villain with a bad attitude. But all I was ever looking for was loyalty, and not many people took me up on that offer. The 2 that did sit here with me. I know they have both also played very impressive games. I know I didn't make it here without my flaws, but I tried to embrace them. I wore my heart, my spite, and all my frustrations on my sleeve. If that loses me the game, it's fine. I know this game will be won by what y'all value the most as a jury. What I want you to remember is this. While I was emotional, I was also strategic. While I was erratic, I was always methodical. And while I was spiteful, I was always adapting. UTR is usually the most effective strategy for a player who can't win immunity. And I knew damn yet well I was never winning individual immunity. I told you all that like a million times. So I forged my own path. I played a game that is not a typical winner's game, a game that was true to myself, who I am. It was intuitive, messy, strategic, and some could even say, and y'all did, chaotic. You saw the warning signs as bright as billboards, and I got here. I stayed 2 steps ahead of 17 other badass players, including these 2, because I handpicked this final 3. Single-handedly, I'm proud of that. And I hope you choose me to represent this wild, amazing, and at times excruciating journey through Neverland, because to win would be an awfully big adventure.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Gaston.
The mics are my timer. Honestly, this has been a very chaotic FTC, if anything. The questions asked, the people answering, amazing game from start to finish. And I truly believe I am the rightful winner of this game. I really do believe that with the hand I was dealt, with the amount of clout that just surrounded my name, and it's not me tooting my own horn. A lot of that was unwarranted, unwanted. I came into like a swap with people like, your name's out there. The merge, your name's still out there. And it was a conception I was never getting rid of, and I played the game to the best of my abilities with the cards I was given. It was very much, hey, look, I'm a target. Let's see this round. What's happening? What's the tea? What's the gossip? And I was willing and able to make the moves and cut people to get to where I am. Whether it was keeping my options open and truly, really being adaptable to the scenario of the round, to the situation of the round. I wasn't going into the merge with like, let me stay loyal real quick to the entire end of the game. I was never that guy. That was never my plan. And as it was said earlier, I was never in part of like a duo. I was never tied down to anyone. I was willing to make the moves for my game to succeed. That required very quick taking advantage of the opportunities that were given to me, being like, I'm worried about so-and-so. Like Tony was worried about Rachel flipping on him at final 10-9. And then after Rachel got blindsided, Polo he wanted some vengeance on Tony and Grace. And capitalizing on people's missteps was the only way I was ever going to make it forward in this game. And that was my only game move. That was my only game plan. And I played this game to the best of my abilities, where I took advantage of every single step I could. They gave me an inch, I took a mile. You took me a round of safety, like, we'll keep you this round, but we'll get you on next round. I took 3 rounds of safety. And I ran with that the entire fucking game, while still my challenge prowess that was so feared never came to fruition, but I was the most consistent when it came to knowing the state of the game at Final 10. I got the most majority answers correct, which got me immunity at Final 10. I was the most perceptive about where the game was headed. And that's what really led into my game in knowing what was right, what was wrong, what moves I had to take for me to succeed. And I took risks at the end, taking out Kelly, knowing I could easily get 4th place. I was willing to take those risks to boost my game and get me here with the win that I truly deserve. Thank you, Polo and Angelica. Nothing but love. Major love to all y'all. Cheers to this cast, honestly. And take us out, production.
All right, and with that, we are going to send our jury off to their confessional threads to cast their vote as to who should be the champion of Utopia Neverland. In the meantime, you guys are going to be live while they're casting the votes. Just so you know, the stream is still going.
Once all the votes are cast, I will read off our season awards. We had, I think, 18 awards this season because we are a lot. And I think 24 people in the BL vote for awards, which is awesome. We had a very active BL, so shout out to you guys.
All right.
I didn't know awards were a thing.
That's terrifying.
Good luck, you guys. Oh my god, I'm horrified.
We said we were gonna rumble for 2 hours and then it'd be over. And
it's crazy that we've been like, this game is like a part of my life. Like it's weird to think
y'all are a part of my life.
No, honestly, like having to wake up and not be like, let me check my chats real quick. I'm just like, what? Like, there's nothing to do.
Like,
it feels like a whole.
Pick our outfits for tonight. Like, we're quite bonded.
Oh, ew! I can't believe I cried in front of people. It's disgusting.
Disgusting.
I cried in multiple confessionals, and you'll see very soon. So.
The thing is, I get very emotional, but I'm not a crier. I'm not the tears.
One of my favorite poets says, I cry as often as most people pee, and I don't shut the door behind me. And that's fucking, I feel like that's that's my life. Like, I don't shut the door behind me.
Oh, God. Well, whoever wins, I think.
I get a lot of crying confessionals.
Oh, like, everyone, like, we all played.
No, it's cool. We're going to get drunk. We're going to have a reunion. I can't wait to see everyone.
I'm excited to everyone. I'm so excited. It's been such a long time for some of these
exciting.
people.
Like, oh my God, all of them popping up. It's so cute. They were nice. Nobody was like, they were nice. Oh my God.
I was expecting worse, but got great feedback from the jury. So.
It's all good. Good questions.
Yeah, those are really good questions, actually. I don't know what I expected.
Wow. Oh my God. I haven't eaten my sushi.
Girl, it's been there for hours.
I put it
in the gross.
No, I put it in the fridge. It was like a cucumber.
Okay. I was going to say, it's like where they're next to you just waiting, and it's like right here, and you're like,
one time I got an omelet during the endurance challenge.
I mean, granted, you lasted like 10 minutes. Honestly, I was expecting a balance challenge, and I'm really mad that we did not get a balance challenge. It was arm strength again.
I guess the
Fuck
idea
that noise.
Cat's Cradle was.
Polo, how much longer can you go? 2 hours. Bullshit.
Yeah, I was at 2 hours. I was like, that's not real.
I was
No,
hurting. I was hurting, bro. Oh my god.
I was like moving around, barely able to talk, and then when Ben was like talking and like was singing, dancing to the songs, I was like,
Haunting.
girl, I was not in a good shape. And then when Ben was singing and having
I
a
was
good
so
time,
afraid you were gonna call me girl a lot during this final tribal, and I was gonna be like, yes, not now. And you didn't once, and I was like,
no,
it was like
forgot
not
about
the
the
time.
drinking game.
I popped off. That went out the window.
I thought we were
sis.
gonna like argue more. Like it was actually really good.
Yeah, this was a good.
We did like one time, and that was it.
Shout out to Tony, who really instigated that shit.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille.
I love how we're like all already drunk.
Honestly, same.
Mood.
I'm excited to see everyone.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my god. Ready to stay up till dawn, till it's 11 a.m. for Mickey.
Oh, you're muted, girl. Molly, you're muted.
I said hello.
Barb was screaming. I screamed. I'm sorry.
I am here for awards. I read them every season. I just want to say very quickly, this was a really fun season. I had a blast hosting. All 5 of us did. In the final 3, you guys were incredible. Polo, you played an absolutely amazing social game. Angelica, I was really rooting for you. I thought that you were so fun to watch, especially the end game. And Gaston, you played a crazy merge from the final 10 on. I don't know how you made it here. We were not expecting that. So very quickly, I say quickly, it will not be. Here are our awards that the VL and Prod all voted on as soon as they load because my Wi-Fi sucks.
I'm terrified.
Okay.
I'm honestly horrified.
So,
Take a shot every time you win an award.
Okay, deal.
No,
I
I don't want to.
A shot or a sip. I'll take shots because I need it.
Okay, so for Hero of the Season, our winner was Aisha, and the runner-up was Ben. For Biggest Villain, our winner was Tony, as he already knows and has told me so many times, and the runner-up was Angelica. For Best Duo, we had Kelly and Ben, and the runners-up were Team Rocket, which was Tony and Grace.
It was for me and Hannah.
I know, there were 2 Team Rocket chats. Sometimes they'd call at the same time. I'd be like, oh. But the Best Alliance was Midnight Date Night, which was Aisha, Ben, Gaston, and Kelly. And the runner-up was, I counted, we have 25 votes against us, which was Angelica, Gaston, and Kelly. The biggest move was the live night blindsides of Grace and Tony. Want to make sure that Aisha and Polo get credit for that one. And the runners-up were Devin eating Julia at the first tribal and the 3-2-1 on Aisha. The worst move was near unanimous, which was, they already know this, Tony and Grace voting at Rachel. Round too early. Gone too soon was, of course, Jackie Pascal, Warriors Bride.
Warriors! Jackie Warriors Bride. And now
runner-up was Cooper. The best juror was Sean, and the runner-up was Grace. I will give Tony an honorable mention because we made these awards at Final 5. He did not get the credit he deserved as a juror. The funniest moment was the weakest link. That video is on the board post-season of just the worst answers.
Oh my god.
Oh, don't cover your eyes yet. Flirting with Sean's roommate during the endurance challenge.
Yes!
The best confessionalist was Ben, and the runner-up was Tony. Best all-around was Gaston, and the runner-up was Aisha. Same one twice, apparently. The best newbie was Sean, and the runner-up was Rachel. The biggest rat, of course, as per the meme, was Tony, and the runner-up was Kelly. The most robbed was Aisha, and the runner-up was Rachel. The craziest tribal, again, we made these at Final 5, was the live night blindsides of Tony and Grace. And the runner-ups were Final 13 for Cooper because Prod had no idea how many eyes were being played, who was voting for who, how many votes were going where, if we had to prepare fire, and what was happening about 30 seconds before tribal. We had no idea.
Oh, wow.
And also Sean. Fun vote. The honorable mention is Kelly because that was a tribal. The biggest underdog was Gaston, and the runner-up was Ben. And the fan favorite was Kelly, and the runner-up was Aisha. So I'm going to kick it over to Jen to read the votes, and our winner of Utopia, I almost said Valhalla, Neverland. Thank you guys all again so much for playing. You guys were all, from the beginning, so dedicated, all 18 of you, and we really appreciate that as hosts. Thank you so much. Hey guys, I'm the votes. Just like Molly said, you guys have all kicked ass and worked so hard to get here. A very, very fun final three to watch and listen to plead your cases tonight. But the jury has cast their votes, and we do have a winner. So without further ado, here are the votes. First vote, Gaston. Second vote, Angelica. Third vote, Gaston. Fourth vote, Angelica. So we are tied with Gaston and Angelica, both with 2 votes each, and we have 4 votes left to read. Fifth vote, Gaston. Sixth vote, Angelica. Seventh vote, Gaston.
Oh my God.
Eighth vote, and the winner of Utopia Valhalla, Gaston. It's not Valhalla.
Not Valhalla.
Gaston, congratulations.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you to the jury. Honestly, this has been a crazy game, from start to finish. When the merge hit, I never thought I'd be sitting here, but I saw opportunities, I took advantage, and I'm really glad that the jury awarded me the win. Angelica and Polo, you all played kick-ass games. Honestly, amazing job, everyone. Thank you so much for the win. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. Congrats, Gaston. I don't know how to open this, but I'm going to try my best.
Congratulations to all of you guys. You guys will have board access soon. Thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to all those super dedicated viewers. They left So many of you. So much content for you guys to go through and to see. We hope you all had fun playing, and Utopia 4, be on the lookout for information about that coming soon. See you guys later.
Cheers.
Oh my God.
Congrats.